EA Sports. This is Madden 21. We're on Xbox One X. The game is indeed enhanced. We're getting a 4K resolution with HDR support. This is the latest entry in the very long-running football simulation series from EA. And this year we do have a number of tweaks and improvements, some new game modes, but relatively this is a very similar experience to years past. Now this is an interesting release here, however, because we are getting the current generation version and the next generation version of Madden, and I look forward to also doing a review of that version when the time comes in the next generation, so look forward to that as well. So first off, we have a number of improvements. We're going to talk about the new modes in a second here, but we're just going to show off a little bit of traditional gameplay right off the bat, because this is where I feel people really do spend their time, is these traditional option modes where you're kind of playing the game regularly, just like a real football match. You know, you get all these different settings, all these different weather conditions, which you're going to see throughout the video review here as we dive into the visual aesthetics and style of the game, which is very similar. Again, the core mechanics are really, I think, solid. The visuals, they nail the look of the presentation. They go very cinematic in regards to the look. They do seem to have moved a little bit away from the broadcast style that they've done in the past to be really its own sort of EA-based thing. So the first big addition here is the face of the franchise. So it's sort of a documentary style thing where you're reflecting on your career as you went from high school all the way to the NFL. You do this by engaging in some cutscenes. You kind of pick some predetermined choices, and that sort of adjusts your path as a player, and you make your way through to the league. It's interesting. It's a replacement for those special career modes they've had recently where they try to put big actors in and stuff that really didn't quite work. All the EA titles are moving towards this, creating your own character, having your own personalization path, and I do think that's interesting. I would have liked a little bit more, determined choice in regards to my character. You're very much going along a predetermined path, and you're just kind of putting in small inputs along the way as you go through this story. The character customization also could have been a little bit better. The characters have very, very weird, dead kind of eyes. It's odd looking. So aside from that, and we'll talk about the face of the franchise more, this is the other big one. This is the yard. So this is the new colorful sort of taking a page, strangely, from NHL to add these weird sort of fancy fun style of football. So in World of Chell in hockey, they kind of take you out to the outdoor pond, you get all these decorative things, and that's what they're doing here. They're just adding a bunch of, it's an excuse to give your football players a bunch of weird colors and costumes. It's another way to push microtransactions, quite honestly. It really is. You can earn it very fairly by leveling up the game, playing matches, everything like that, completing objectives, but that's really what it is pushing new microtransaction options within your game, just so that you are aware of that. I mean, it's kind of neat. You get colorful, weird things. It's got online head-to-head. It's got some fun challenges for local play. It's an alright extension. It's something new. I'll give them that. You get to go to some weird fields, a couple different weird fields, so it's interesting, I guess. Just not personally too blown away by it, but I know a lot of people gonna have a really, really good time with that, and I think that's great, for those that are interested in that aspect of play. So I want to talk about more of the face of the franchise. So this is the mode where you're really, like I mentioned, you're moving through the league, and it just felt like a very predetermined path. It's just a story that you're placing yourself in, and you're working through it. I would have liked maybe more choice also in sort of length of the matches. You're playing full games in there, and it's kind of well, I like to move along a little bit faster to hit the story beats. If I want to play full matches of Madden, I'm gonna set up a full game of Madden. It's just a bit odd that they aren't. It should really be a highlights of the career, and it is from a story perspective, even though it's kind of a very light story where they keep repetitively bringing in the broadcaster that they've partnered with for it or whatever, constantly talking about them during plays and stuff. Anyways, moving past that, it's just kind of, it's not necessarily the direction I would have went. I would have went for shorter game matches that were more key decisions, key points, because this is supposed to be a documentary where it's oh, this is your character, this is how they were built up, this is their legacy, cool. You do get those moments, but you get what I mean gameplay-wise, they should have led into that. So, mechanics-wise, I think they've definitely, refined and polished some of the game modes. X Factor 2.0 is here. so it kind of elevates certain stars of the game of Madden, and they have little tweaks to how the the different athletes kind of interact with one another. There is still like clipping and stuff present, and a little bit more clipping. I do like how the celebrations are handled here. I think that's kind of fun. It's nice to see that really kind of be embraced during like key good plays, or during particular moments where you're getting that big score, you're getting that touchdown. I think that's kind of cool. It's a nice little touch, and it's a little bit of fun. So I do show off various weather conditions, if you've been wondering. And here's the snow. And the snow actually, and this is something I check every year because I feel like weather and conditions kind of push the elements of what a game provides. It's improved, but it's still kind of awful how snow is handled. So now it actually properly works when you're stepping on it. You see the player deforming the snow. There's a slight delay from the foot to the snow deformation, and there's no body deformation. So if your body hits the snow, nothing happens to the snow. Only your feet wreck the snow in this one. It's kind of hilarious. Whereas last year it was like really awkward in how you hit things, and it wasn't exact at all. But this year they've like completely removed body interactions with the snow. And I think that's just kind of a little bit hilarious, in my opinion, how that one is handled. Moving past that, I did notice some slight like performance dips here or there, which I thought was really weird. I don't know if I'm crazy there, but it just like sometimes during like really end game type thing in some cinematics. So it's not bad. It's not detrimental to your gameplay experience. But I was like, because usually the Mad games are just like really excellent performance, at least in my opinion, in my experience of playing this franchise over decades now. Seriously, it's ridiculous how long I've been playing this. But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see the title evolve, and I really am looking forward to seeing what they do with it in the next generation. Now, and I know the first year is never a groundbreaking thing, but I do imagine they have some sort of like thing kind of waiting where it's like, oh, we're really pushing the boundaries of visuals. So don't expect a huge change in visuals because of the 1X. If you're going from the 1X to the Series X, I don't think it's going to be a massive change, but I do expect a bit of a change. But visually, it's an impressive looking game. Plays well for the most part. A lot of modes to it. You got your traditional online, you got your Madden Ultimate Team, you got all these different ways to compete with your friends, like in a non-competitive way or in a competitive way. Just a ton of different modes, and this is really what they've been building towards this whole generation, is having all of these features, trying new things, innovating, keeping the rosters up to date, and this is sort of the ultimate release of this generation. I imagine we'll probably get a couple more that will also be available, on this current generation, Madden-wise. But this sort of is that turning point where they really do start pushing more towards what the next generation of Madden's going to be. So it's kind of an important shift, and it only happens so many years. After so many years, it's kind of interesting to see this be that moment. Oh, you're seeing that like clipping there. It's like I think they do a different angle. You can see him like actually like sink into the ground, which is a little bit funny. So yeah, some of the clipping things, little bit of work on those. But I do like how you throw the ball, the different techniques for throwing the ball. It moves well. The players interact well, in my opinion, in regards to what they're supposed to be doing. Right there it is. He sinks into the floor. It's just kind of funny. But yeah, they've got a great package here. If you like Madden, I mean, a review isn't even going to stop you from jumping in every year, right? I think if you've waited a couple years, yeah, it's a good entry to jump into. If you're coming from last year's, there's not necessarily a whole lot of changes. I think the new modes are kind of fun. They might get you interested. I do heavily believe that the yard is just really kind of a little bit of a microtransaction farm, because I kind of found it kind of silly. I found the story element face the franchise a little bit boring at times, pace-wise. It's just a little bit weird to have your story stuffed with full game matches, because I think the key point to adding a story into a Madden game should be story first and foremost. We can play football in any of the other modes, but the story really needs to be the main focus there, and I don't think they quite achieved that with this entry, but I think it's a better direction than they did with some of the story modes in the past, because I really was not with those. But yeah, a lot of different modes. If you get this version before I think the next Madden comes out, you do get a free Series X version of it, so keep that in mind, and I look forward to showing off that version of the game. I hope you enjoyed this look at Madden 21. Wow, the years just fly by.
You're as half as good as you are in hockey. We're in great shape.
And switching from hockey to football in my country is heresy, by the way.